My name is Tony Lugg. I'm actually the chairman of TAPA. Anybody in the audience know who TAPA is? Okay, one person. Okay, so you see DSV over there, you see DP World, DHL. All of the large global forwarders are all members of TAPA. But why are they members of TAPA? They're members of TAPA because most of our members are the Fortune 500 manufacturers of the world. And most of those are based in Asia, as you know. So let me just tell you a little bit more about myself. As well as being the chairman of TAPA, I'm also the CEO of Project Argus. And look, my community involvement extends to, for instance, today. I'm not going to talk about TAPA today, although it's a highly important subject. TAPA writes its supply chain security standards, which all of the manufacturers use, and then they also have that in a contractual requirement with all of their logistics service providers. I'm also the chairman of Project Argus, which is a supply chain solutioning company. So we integrate different products depending on the requirement. But back in 2021, remember that awful COVID period, I was asked to talk about business transformation. And the reason I was asked to talk about business transformation was because when I was in China in 2015, I did a full P2P in terms of digitization. And when you've actually gone through that whole process, and you can see here from some of the comments, so this was actually, they had a chap in the audience who was actually writing everything down that I said and made this afterwards and sent it out. But it's very apt because what it does, it captures some of the issues that you have within the supply chain. So today, I'm actually going to talk about Singapore. And again, being a community-based person, I thought it was apt to show you that this is not just a one-time speaking event. I'm passionate about everything that Singapore is doing. And hopefully some of the tips I'm going to talk about today will help you in your businesses, because it certainly has helped me in setting up Project Argus here. And we've had tremendous support from the government. And it's also brought business excellence to us. We've won an Excellence Award for cybersecurity. And we also have literally just won the SME 500. So we're very proud to have received that last week. Okay, so let's get into my presentation in terms of Singapore. How many in the audience are from Singapore? Okay, so you have a foreigner here standing up on the stage promoting Singapore. But when I start to go through this, you'll see the reason why, and you can see the reason why we set up Project Argus here. In terms of being a strategic location, connectivity. Now with TAPA, our members have seen a flow of companies coming across from China into Southeast Asia. And that didn't just start recently. You know, that's been happening over the last 10 years. I worked in China on 2 occasions, back in 2005, and I went back in 2013. During that period, we saw labor costs actually increase. And of course, from a manufacturing base, everyone was looking for the cheaper labor costs, and we saw flows moving across into Vietnam. But recently, this year, HP actually moves to Thailand. And that's not, Trump and a trade tariff issue. This has actually been going on. But as you know, before Trump was elected, we saw some issues with the semiconductor industries under Biden. And we saw semiconductor companies moving here into Singapore with significant investment. Now, why Singapore? It's a highly neutral country. It has a large Chinese population. At the same time, it wants to maintain international relationships. So it acts very neutral in its behavior. But Singapore's been clever in terms of their innovation and forward vision. If you look at, we're talking about the digitization again, but if you look at everything that they've done, they've made this location, a small country like this, a hub for the whole region. Now, how many of you flew in into Changi. Excellent, right? It's one of the best airports in the world. And those of you who have been around the world, and I'm lucky to have traveled around the world, I can honestly say that when you come home to Singapore, you're very, very happy to land there and know that your bag's going to, be on the belt when you need. And if you look at the digitization, how easy it is to flow through now, it's getting better every year. And of course, the same has happened with cargo. So, for instance, when I'm importing, and every week we have imports coming through, my customs clearance is already processed when I'm asleep. In the morning, my customs permit already comes into my email box, and DHL or UPS or whoever's delivering for me on that particular occasion, it's already out for delivery. So what does it mean for me? It means that in terms of productivity, I can do things faster. And it doesn't stop there. If you look at what they're doing with PSA and the new port in Tuas, that will become a fully automated port by 2030. If you look at Changi Airport, they're opening up the new Changi Airport Park. What does that mean? It's going to be another logistics hub with a free trade zone. So in terms of being able to bring products in, keep them in the free trade zone, for instance, when in my past history, I worked for TNT International, and we use Singapore as a forward stock location. Now, a couple of other things I'm going to talk about. If you look at, their ranking across the world, if you look at what they've done with their free trade agreements, substantial investment in making Singapore a visionary in terms of logistics and hub. In terms of the technology, the innovation that's going on here with AI, and please, if you're not subscribing to any local news agency, do so. Because when you look at if you look at the investment that the government's giving companies to digitize, and many of our customers are also using AI, where we're helping them to digitize. And the adoption to AI in Singapore is very high compared to other locations. And why is that? Why is that? Because, when I speak about transformation, yourself, the internal resistance in transformation is one of the worst factors that you will ever establish inside your company. But the great thing about Singapore, it has a top-down approach. It's a leadership. It's not a dictatorship. It's a leadership approach that this AI is going to help you transform your business. And it does. If you use AI correctly, it will really help you automate. In terms of the trade network platform, as I mentioned earlier, the ease of doing business, the ease of doing customs clearances is significant. And the investment, so if you look at the exhibitors here today, most of those products out there, you can actually get funding for, off the Singapore government, to improve your automation and digitization. Now, where else can you go in the world and get that, okay? So look at the incentives they give you. So this year, it's 50% tax rebate, incentives, productivity fund, enterprise, green logistics, incentives. Singapore is really helping businesses invest and establish themselves here. All of the top 25 logistics service providers are registered in Singapore. 50% of those actually have their supply chain management based here. Now, why do they do that? They're leveraging off of some of the other points I'm going to talk about here. Now, look at this, what Singapore's done. Again, having a vision. You have a massive land across that border. And again, Singapore's gone out and negotiated this free trade zone. Now, what does that mean? If you're clever, it means that you can still have your management function here. But across the border, where you have all of that space, you have all of the tax incentives there from the Malaysian government. It allows you now to have a back office, literally a back office, on your doorstep. And if you look at the investment there, if you did the new rail line that will go in, every day the customs clearances is getting much easier to go cross-border. It gives you a lot of flexibility. What's the other flexibility that you get from here? You have access to Southeast Asia. So remember what I said, HP's moving across to Thailand. HP have already got operations here in Singapore. They're already manufacturing in Penang and Ipoh. So what does that mean? It means connectivity. It means that north-south highway, the logistics flows there are going to be considerable. Okay. In terms of talent, tomorrow morning I am speaking at Singapore National University. I'm talking about AI, something I did in China, where we were doing predictive analysis back in 2015. AI is not a new thing. It's always been around. But I think what COVID's done is actually accelerated the use of it. I think AI is an amazing tool if it's used carefully. And of course, obviously, we have to be careful of that. But look at the R&D. The R&D investment here is significant as well. Toll Logistics, for instance, have just set up a innovation hub here. They're also a TAPA member. Now, why do they do that? Because Singapore wants to remain to be a leading hub. And of course, Singapore are helping companies to invest and are creating that innovation here. All right, so why should you work here, or why should you even set up your business here? It's the ease of doing business, everything that I've mentioned. It's an incredible place to do business. I have several companies here. And of course, that's why I chose. When I came to Asia, I ended up staying here. My kids actually go to local schools here. And I decided that this is the place I want to be because of the flexibility that you have. All right, so your growth opportunities are significant. I'm speeding up because obviously I'm watching my time clock down here, guys, right? So if you wonder why I'm speeding up a bit, it's because that ticker's time away and I want to be on time. But if you look at the incentives here, they are significant. And if I'm invited to come back and speak at the next conference, what I'd like to do is actually drill down into some of these areas in terms of the digitization, in terms of how you use the technology that's out there amongst the exhibitors and actually make that improvement process within your business. Okay, so why Singapore? I think I've made it clear. In terms of the government support, ease of doing business, very well regulated. It's a lovely place to actually live and work. We have the free trade zone. We have access to Southeast Asia. We have the ports with amazing connectivity. We have airports with amazing connectivity. And of course, don't forget, once they open up the additional park at Changi, that means there's going to be more passenger flights coming in here. And of course, the cargo will come with it. So a great opportunity. Listen, look, please feel free to scan me and stay in touch with me. As I say, I do a lot for the community. I think everyone, we heard about giving back. Part of my giving back is to give back to the community, to actually help companies climb that ladder, give them some ideas, information, and certainly, from TAPA's point of view, TAPA has actually been an amazing framework to help me build zero failure supply chains, and that's some of the expertise that I have. So feel free to stay in touch. Have a great day ahead. Make sure you get round all of the stands. I'm definitely here today. Tomorrow morning I'm at the university. But please catch up, have a chat, and have a great day ahead. Thank you very much.